Have you ever noticed how life feels like it's sprinting while we're just catching our breath? Welcome to Beyond the Mind. Time, it's the most precious currency we'll ever have. And yet, we spend it like we've got a lifetime in reserve. You give love, support, wait. You explain your soul in lowercase texts, hoping not to offend. And for what? Dry replies, cold energy, emotional neglect. We talk a lot about loyalty, patience, and kindness, but no one tells you how exhausting it is to stay where you're undervalued. This isn't just about people treating you wrong, it's about you knowing it and still staying. Leo Tolstoy once said, "Respect was invented to cover the empty place where love should be." That quote doesn't just sting, it exposes. So let's get brutally honest. This isn't just a video. This is your wake-up call. It's time to learn when to walk away and how doing so might be the most powerful act of love you ever give yourself. You've probably convinced yourself that holding on is strength, that staying means you care. But what if the truth is the opposite? What if your goodness has become a trap? Tolstoy believed that people invent virtues like politeness, duty, even respect, not to love better, but to avoid the responsibility of real love. And here you are, thinking if you're kind enough, patient enough, loyal enough, they'll finally change. But they won't. Not because they don't know better, but because they don't need to. They're not confused. They're comfortable. You're bending, breaking, shrinking, just to fit into the small space they've made for you. And the more you hope they'll see your worth, the more invisible you become. Stop waiting for applause in a room where they barely notice you. Walk away when the role you're playing starts to feel like a lie. Because no matter how soft your voice, your silence still screams, "I'm not okay." You ever feel like you're too much for them? Too honest? Too passionate? Too real? That's not love. That's you being tolerated. And that feeling of shrinking to survive should never be normal. Tolstoy didn't believe in shrinking. He believed in growth that aligns with truth, even if it costs you comfort. If you have to water yourself down to be accepted, you're in the wrong room. Staying quiet doesn't make you wise, it makes you complicit. Every time you swallow your voice just to keep the peace, you declare that your presence isn't worthy. That's not humility. That's emotional exile. And let's be real. If someone makes you feel like a burden in your own life, that's your fire drill. No need to explain. No need to justify. Just go. The right people won't make you question your worth. They'll remind you of it heaven on your messy days. Some people only love you when you're easy to love, when you're smiling, convenient, and low maintenance. But the second you get complicated, have needs, or break down, they vanish like your paycheck on rent day. That's not love. That's conditional tolerance. Tolstoy taught that love isn't soft and pretty. It's effort. It's moral responsibility. If they only show up when you're polished, what happens when you crack? You deserve someone who leans in when you're hard to hold, not someone who disappears. Think about how many times you've run a marathon for people who wouldn't walk across the room for you. You show up, they show off. You're invested, they're entertained, and you're still hoping they'll change. Stop auditioning for a role they stopped playing long ago. The curtain's closed. The stage is empty. It's your turn to exit, not for applause, but for peace. Because peace, real peace, doesn't need an audience. You ever feel like you're carrying the entire relationship on your back? You're the one checking in, apologizing first, initiating every conversation, forgiving again and again. Meanwhile, they sit back like empathy's optional. Tolstoy believed that meaningful connection demands mutual moral effort. It's not love if only one person is trying. You're not a therapist. You're not a sponge for their drama, and you're definitely not a rehab center for someone's emotional laziness. Ask yourself this: if the roles were reversed, would they fight for you? If the answer is probably not, then what are you really holding on to? Staying isn't noble if it costs you your self-worth. Walking away isn't betrayal, it's survival. And if you keep dragging a relationship that's already flatlined, you're not keeping the peace. You're keeping the illusion alive. Don't bleed loyalty for someone who'd let you go dry without blinking. Forgiveness is powerful, but not when it becomes your daily ritual. If you're constantly excusing the same behavior, hoping this time they'll mean it, that's not love. That's emotional addiction. Tolstoy didn't believe in hollow apologies. He believed in transformation. True repentance isn't saying sorry, it's changing. And if you're stuck in a loop of forgiving someone who's not even trying to grow, you're not healing, you're enabling. The more you understand them, the less you understand yourself. You start rationalizing their patterns. You start doubting your pain. But let's get honest. You're not Jesus. You're just scared to admit they don't deserve you. And deep down, you know it. Every time you forgive what breaks you, you lose a little more of who you are. At some point, you've got to stop explaining your pain and start protecting your peace. Because love shouldn't hurt this often. Little by little, you feel it. You laugh less. You question more. You tiptoe around your own personality like it's something to apologize for. That's not growth, it's erosion. Tolstoy's greatest fear wasn't death, it was living disconnected from truth. And when you stay in relationships that rot you from the inside, you lose pieces of yourself you didn't even notice were missing. You avoid talking about your dreams because they wouldn't get it. You dim your light because they'd call it too bright. That's not love. That's spiritual decay. Love is supposed to expand you, not compress you. If you have to hide the real you just to keep the peace, what peace are you even keeping? You're not meant to survive relationships. You're meant to thrive in them. And the moment you feel like a stranger in your own story, that's your sign. Walk away. Not because it's easy, but because it's necessary. Loyalty is a beautiful thing until it becomes betrayal of self. Some people stay not out of love, but out of fear. Fear of starting over. Fear of looking like the villain. Fear of wasting time. But Tolstoy didn't live for appearances. He lived for truth. If your loyalty is tied to who they used to be, rather than who they are now, you're already alone. You're not staying for love, you're staying for a memory. And memories don't hug you at night. They don't apologize. They don't evolve. When the bridge keeps leading you back to the same fire, maybe it's time to burn it down. You weren't born to be loyal to your suffering. You were born to grow. Stop editing yourself to fit into a connection that expired seasons ago. Walk away like your soul is on the line, because it is. And don't just leave physically. Leave emotionally. Leave spiritually. Choose truth over familiarity. Every single time. Walking away isn't some glamorous Instagram moment. It's messy. It's brutal. It feels like a breakup with your own identity. But if you want peace, you don't announce your exit to become it. No long goodbye texts. No closure conversations. Tolstoy didn't wait for applause to do the right thing, and neither should you. Silence becomes your statement. Peace becomes your proof. And yeah, it'll hurt. Like withdrawal. Like you're detoxing from the addiction of chaos. Your brain craves the pattern, the push-pull, the attention you mistook for affection. But every urge to reach back is your past begging for one more round. Deny it, over and over, and then rebuild. Not to prove something, but to create something they were never built to belong in. Don't move on. Level up. Your healing isn't about revenge. It's about resurrection. Your life gets louder without them, not because they were the problem, but because now, nothing dims your light. Here's the truth no one tells you. Walking away isn't just an action, it's a declaration, a new standard. From this point on, you set the bar so high, your old self wouldn't even qualify. Tolstoy said that truth, like gold, is revealed by removing all that is not gold. So remove them, the patterns, the stories, the illusions, unfollow, mute, block, delete. Not just from your phone, but from your life. Loneliness will try to trick you, make you miss their chaos. But what you're really missing is the version of you that settled. Let it go. Let the old you grieve. But let the new you never settle again. If they don't bring peace, they don't get presents. If they play games, they lose you by default. Your time is too sacred for trial runs. And if your relationships demand silence, shame, or some honest walk, walk like your healed self is watching, because they are. And when you do, they'll whisper one word: finally. If this hit home, subscribe to Beyond the Mind, where we don't just talk about healing,